Don Loman with Keller Williams, Greater Seattle, and
Dennis Pierce, Keller Williams, Greater Seattle.
we're here to pick up where we left off last time. We've got 3 additional topics we're going to cover today in our second segment on kind of what are the issues surrounding the current market and what is causing kind of the housing low inventory.
Yeah, I mean, as everybody knows, the Seattle market has gotten absurdly tight, and we're continuing the countdown here with items number, I guess this would be 4, 5, and 6, correct?
Yeah, and
okay.
So item 4 is kind of the regional affluence and the kind of the wealthy component that we currently are dealing with within this region.
Right. And I think to touch on that really briefly, we're going to try and go through these fairly quickly, by the way. So as you know, we've got companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Real Networks. I mean, you name it. We've got a plethora of technology companies who have, at this point, about 35-ish years of history here, and they've built out those companies. Execs from many of those companies have then spun off into their own companies, so that entrepreneurial spirit has kind of been pushed out into the community, and we see that reflected in the fact that the waterfront that we have here, and we got 2 major lakes that we have to navigate around. We've also got the sound, of course. That creates opportunity in the way of expensive homes, but it also creates challenges in terms of affordability.
Right, and it's so we have the affluence, which is kind of pushing up prices in certain neighborhoods, especially around that lakefront. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of spills over into the adjacent neighborhoods, and those adjacent neighborhoods are very expensive to live in. So affordable housing is limited. The affluence has shrunk the amount of land and the amount of use of that land for more affordable housing.
Right, and which actually, I guess we should probably touch on this. We just learned about a new piece of legislation that is working its way through the state right now.
Yeah, it should be they think it's going to become law by the middle of this year, so June or July. Right. And that's House Bill 1660, HB 1660.
Right, which is, the goal of that is to make it easier for folks who have their own single-family residence to use the available space they have on their lot for ADUs.
Yeah, or for investors who are looking at expanding maybe their portfolio, is buying up single-family homes and converting those single-family homes that would add an ADU or 2 ADUs or 3 ADUs on that same piece of single-family property.
Right. Okay.
Further constricting the land.
Yeah, making things even more interesting. So moving on to number 5.
Number 5, which is the regional PSRC, population growth projections for 2050, and PSRC stands for
Puget Sound Regional Council. So that's the body of, I guess it's a governmental body that is responsible for planning and forecasting for the Puget Sound 5-county region right around Puget Sound.
Yeah, so King, Pierce, Snohomish, Thurston, and
Kitsap.
Yep. And, or is it Jefferson?
Actually, it's Jefferson and, yes.
Yeah, so throw out Thurston, Jefferson.
Yeah.
But that 5 regional county, they're expecting the population to hit 5.8 million by 2050.
We're going to add another 1 million people to the Puget Sound region. Just those 5 counties, that's the forecast by 2050.
That's 28 years from now.
Actually, this is a really dense topic, and there's a ton of information on it. So we're going to add a link down below. Make sure you check that out if this is something you want to do a little more investigating on, because we don't have time to cover all the details on this one right now.
Right, a ton of material. So look at that link, and if you got questions, reach out to either one of us. The 6th topic, available usable land in King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. Yeah. Kind of interrelated, but not.
Yeah, exactly. So we have, you may have noticed, we got a gray sky day today. Usually out of the sky, we're seeing, what, more water.
More water.
That's what we're famous for. Everybody always says, what do you call the first day of rain after 2 days of sunshine in Seattle?
I don't know. What do we call it?
Monday.
So basically, yeah, we have a lot of water in the area, but to kind of start at the basic points, it's like, how much land do we have? Just flat land that's easy to build on. and we have a limited amount of that resource, but then when you add the water to it.
Right, so when you throw in water, which is coming out of the sky, you have to manage that. And frequently what we see, if you look at the terrain, we've got a lot of hills. Those hills redirect the water, so you've got channels, you've got ravines, you've got streams, you've got creeks, you've got ponds and puddles. All of that is just basically water collection and water management. But when it comes to construction, then the management really comes into play.
Yeah, so you've got to consider what that water is doing on your land. Is it flowing through? Is it a salmon creek or a salmon stream? Mm-hmm. Is it seasonal, meaning that it's not actually regular water that's there year round, it's seasonal. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the slopes around it, and what is the condition of that slope? Is it stable or unstable?
Right, and also, is that water moving or is it still? And you can have kind of two major conditions that impact your usability. Those are wetland as well as being salmon bearing. Salmon bearing streams have to have a buffer of at least 200 feet around them for any construction. So that limits what you have available. Those wetlands also have buffer zones. So each of those has impacts on what's available, and how we can use that land moving forward.
And how expensive it is to develop it. So there's some entrepreneurs out there listening right now. It's like, why don't I just buy a vacant piece of land and build on it? Those are some of the considerations you're going to have to keep in the back of your mind. So with
right.
that's topics 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. So that gets us halfway through the list.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you up on the next one.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Thank you.